Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess, and my other stripper name is Little Caesar's Hot and Ready. Wait, that's not a good one. Or is it? But we just did a live stream and we went in on the Oknife Sentry L1. And I had 4 bangers picked out. Like, I could not get a bad roll. I wanted to play with everything on the table, and this is the one it picked out. And this was a gift from Wilderness Bushcraft. He gave this to me on our way to Blade Show in June. So let's take a second to thank him in the comments for making this happen. And let's take a look at what we got. First things first, and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. We have got G10 on the scales. We got a flipper tab, so let's flick the bean. Big old bean flick, gentlemen. 3.9 inches of D2 steel. And, you know, we kind of know what to expect when we're going in on D2. Like, the performance has been very consistent across the steel, and it's about a 4-hour performance. This thing did about what it was expected to do, 3.5 hours on this one, but for that first 30-45 minutes, I spent a lot of time on much tougher cardboard than we normally spend that much time on. Like, we'll put a few cuts through the hard stuff just to see how the edge does, how the blade grind does, how easy it is to push that stuff. With this big bastard, I really wanted to play with it, so I mean, I spent a lot of time wailing on it with the heavy-duty stuff that really tears edges up. That's where that extra half hour went. You know, if we'd have stuck to the normal program, we would have gotten the full 4 hours out of it, no problem. You know, so it was a real treat to cut with. The only problem that we came across was the ergonomics, and it's in the same place it always is. You know, this gap right here between the liners, it always bites me, and this one's a bit wider than we've normally had. So I wound up with a nice, distinct blister. Thumb out of the way. Get out of the way, thumb. But we got a blister right here full of liquid, and it's going to pop and become a minor nuisance sooner or later. But, you know, it started to hurt after about the first hour, 40 minutes to 2 hours, and the blister started showing up, but I kept going with it because I wanted to see how much it would do. And that's part of why I do this the way I do. No gloves, no protection. I want to find where the ergonomic weak spots are. And it's usually this right here, but they'll show up elsewhere. You know, holding it funky, it put pressure on my hand in a weird spot, and that was partly just because of the weird grip. You know, I got to hold it like this while I'm cutting, I'm pushing through cuts and doing everything. So that puts that blister right there in that gap, and, you know, it'll put pressure in some weird spaces. But, you know, that's also doing something that, you know, the end user didn't have that in mind when they designed this and finished it up. That's not what they were going for, and we're doing something that I feel like should be done when you're designing a knife. All right, when you're designing a knife, you should do stuff like this to find the weak spots and address them and kind of make them a little better. Now, there's not much you can do about the gap between the scales. That's fair enough, but, you know, if you're going to design something, test it thoroughly. You know, and I know this is well designed, it's well made. Outside of what I did to it tonight, it's a comfortable knife to use. It carried well, it was enjoyable, it was a ton of fun. Like, I can't really find a lot to fault with it. I will say, the one party trick it has that I love more than anything else, centrifugal opening. That beats an automatic every time. So much easier, so much faster, and so much more fun. You know, I get the dopamine hit of knowing I brute forced it open. But, you know, this thing did well. It did exactly what D2 does. You know, it handled everything well. Just that one weak spot, which was worse than most of them. You know, I can compare this to other knives I've done this with, and this is probably the most profound thing that we've had. We've had skin here torn up to shreds. We've had, you know, the callus here get raised and irritated, but we've never had a blister like this come up. So that's a new experience. But, you know, the edge wore out, and the HRC on this is supposed to be around 60. So I got the precision adjust out, and I went through and I ran through it, and I kept flipping this over on the 240 grit and kept grinding away more and more steel to get it to, you know, a clean apex and ready to be finished sharpening. I went through my full cycle like I normally do, and I didn't quite get the edge finished off. I could have sworn to God I had everything done well enough, but it wasn't quite finished. So we broke out the Kin Onion belt grinder and finished it on there and got a very, very clean, sharp edge. And of course, you know I'm going to show you what it do now that it's sharpened, because I always like cutting paper on a fresh edge. Didn't even bork that cut. You know, it sharpened up really, really nicely. It took a very keen edge, and you know, the high HRC means the burr came up. It was a nice small burr. It felt like a good burr. Like, it sharpened well. If I would have spent more time on that first stone on the Work Sharp Precision Adjust, I would have gotten there and it would have been just as clean of an edge. And of course, it's mirrored out. I love my mirrored edges when I do these things. And so freehanding it on the Kin Onion grinder means this is a convex edge too, which means a little bit more durability, and all that is good. So you guys know I love sharing with you what happened on the Cardboard Slayer Adventures and what, give you the aftermath of the live streams, and that's what happened with this one. It performed as well as D2 was to be expected. It cut well. It was fun to use. It's just that larger gap back here bit me right here. And that's really the only major gripe I have about this thing. And again, that's my fault. I was doing something it wasn't really intended to do. So, that's the Sentry L1. That's what happened. And all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. A bunch of y'all came in during the live stream. I appreciate it so much. If you haven't caught the live streams, drop by and check one out. They're a bunch of fun. I get to hang out with you guys and wreck the edge of a knife. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. I've got 4 knives to give away at 2K, so get in here and try to win yourself a knife, and there will be other giveaways between now and then, so you got plenty of shots at winning a knife. Comments, I love some feedback. Let me know what you thought about this. If you were at the live stream, let me know what you thought about the stream as a whole. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.